because it's not a team sport. I don't have 10 other teammates to blame things on. It's all on me. Win or lose, it's on me. I think that those things are very transferable to business, and I think it's one of the things that makes snooker almost unique. I remember first walking through these doors. Well, they weren't these doors. This building didn't exist when I walked here in 2005. I came here to the Hayes family home next door and met the Hayes family. You know, I was introduced here by an old friend, and it was just a case of, it was really nice. You know, the ambience was nice, the sort of atmosphere here. There's a great family ethos here, a very, you know, clear drive to succeed. You know, in my world, on and off the table, you know, the family, the group, the team here at Champions really get behind their clients and the people they look after, and it almost feels like a big extended family here. It's very informal. Everyone looks after each other. Everyone's dead nice. When you walk through the door, you're welcomed, and it's just got that real sort of clean ethos. I think it feels nice. It's got a nice, you know, special feel about it. You don't feel like just another client. You don't feel like just another number. When you're with Champions, you feel part of the family, that was the feeling I got 20 years ago when I walked through John's front door next door. Now it's become this massive business, turning over events all around the world, you know, big events now, and it's great to be a part of it, and it's been lovely to see it from where it was 20 years ago, and we've all gone on our own little missions since then, and to come back into the fold 20 years later, to see where it was, to see where it is, it's been great to see, and it's great to be a part of it once again. Well, you know, in the 20 years since I've been sort of on the tour winning events, since winning the world title in 2005, you know, I've been with almost everyone in the snooker scene who claims to be a manager or an agent. I've worked with almost everybody. I've been around the world, and I just never really felt as if anyone has maximised the opportunities that are there for snooker players. I still think it's an untapped market. I absolutely firmly believe that Champions are the right people to open up those avenues and opportunities and doors, not just for me, maybe potentially for other snooker players who might follow in my footsteps down the line. As snooker drags itself into the 21st century and becomes a serious commercial asset, it'll be time for those players to wake up to their, you know, potential commercial success. And I really truly believe that Champions are the right people to do that. As I say, I just think that, you know, it's been a long time coming. It's something I've always thought about. You know, I've always kept in touch with John and the family here and the team here at Champions, and I just feel as if now is the right time. I've reached that stage of my life where I feel like I can give something back to that market. I think that I'm now in a better position, you know, just in terms of maturity and age, and, you know, I'm at that stage of life where that sort of after dinner scene, talking, giving speeches, presenting prizes, hosting events, you know, tied to my punditry work with the BBC, you know, all of that kind of after dinner style. 20 years ago, Champions sent me on a cruise ship to do some after dinners. Of course, I was 22, 23 years old. I had nothing to say. I didn't really have any stories. I was the second youngest world champion at the time, and that was it. I didn't really know the ropes, and I remember walking on stage on, I think it was the P&O Arcadia as a 22-year-old, walked onto the theatre there to do a speech. But I didn't really have much to say. It was possibly the best period of winging it anyone's ever seen in their life. But now at 41, and now having been an established pro for many, many years, having done the scene, done the circuit, spoke at a lot of events, as I say, you know, with the BBC and all the stories I've got to tell, all the stuff, and I can peek behind the curtain and tell people what really goes on in my world. I feel I'm in a completely different place to, you know, do that again, go around again, and actually now in this stage of my life, I've probably got a bit more to say. It's one of those, you know, you think about untold stories, and they're probably untold for a reason, aren't they? They stay untold to protect people's identities and stuff like that. There's one that does spring to mind, though. There's a story that springs to mind about a player I'll have to remain nameless just for the time being. But we flew to China together once, and we were both very excited because it was the first time we were flying first class. And so we got to Heathrow to make use of the lounge. We may have had one or two many glasses of wine, and when we got on, we were possibly slightly too inebriated, but we were all in good humour. We were all in good spirits, and one thing led to another, and the captain actually put the seatbelt sign on to encourage my friend. He got a bit drunk, and so we were asked to leave and go to sleep and all the rest of it. And next thing I know, I'm being woken up by the head purser on the plane. She said, "You'll have to come and help me." She said, "Your friend is back at the bar and he's drinking too much." So listen, I've gone to the bar and I've sort of tried to encourage, but he's not having any of it. Next thing you know, he's fell over and he's just hit the deck and he sits there on the floor face down. He's asleep. It's him gone in the middle of the plane. Well, the head purser's come along and I'm thinking, wow, she's going to go mad here. And she lifts his shirt up, gets a Sharpie out of her thing, and she draws on the back of his thing. She writes, puts his name, and she says, "I can't fly, I can't do this, and I do all these things." She's written all this stuff on his back, and she's left him. We've manhandled, we've put him back in bed. Well, we got there to China, and he's so drunk. He's so hungover. He's missed the opening ceremony. He's missed the PR day. He's nearly missed his match. But didn't he go and win the tournament? That was absolutely incredible. So maybe those, got to prepare well, you've got to do all the right things. Maybe that's a load of rubbish. The funniest thing was he didn't notice the writing on his back until 3 days later when he caught a glimpse of himself in the shower. Incredible. Yeah, I think the toughest matches that I've played have all, as daft as it sounds, I think, in snooker because you're kind of really just playing the balls. It's a real cliche to say it, but I think my toughest opponent has been me. When I've been in a good frame of mind, when I've been in the right zone, results tend to have followed, and good performances tend to follow that. The one thing about snooker, and this is where I think can help with business and can help with business leaders and salespeople around the world, is that a good performance in snooker doesn't necessarily equal a win. And so you're constantly having to tap into those pots of strength and areas where you have to dip into your reserves of resilience and going again, and you have to become very good at taking the knocks, because snooker's a bit like cold calling clients. You try so hard, you prepare so well, you go to so many events, but actually you get that sweet sense of victory so rarely. More times than not, you leave without a trophy. That's why you have to celebrate those wins so much, and you have to take when you do get the chance to lift the trophy, you have to milk it and you have to enjoy it. When you do get that sale, you have to enjoy it and you have to reward yourself, because so often you'll be ringing clients or trying to make the sale or trying to make the deal and getting a no, and you get a knockback. And more times than not, when I go to tournaments, you lose, or something bad happens and somebody has a bit of luck or whatever it might be, and you get in the car and you drive home, have to lick your wounds, go back to the practice table and go again. So I think a lot of those things are transferable. And I think over your career as a snooker player, because you're working on your own, because it's not a team sport, I don't have 10 other teammates to blame things on. It's all on me. Win or lose, it's on me. I think that those things are very transferable to business. And I think it's one of the things that makes snooker almost unique. Snooker, by any metric you want to use, is in the best state it's ever been. We all refer back to the famous 1985 World Final as our line in the sand, where 18.5 million watched Dennis Taylor beat Steve Davis. Of course, there were only 3 channels back in 1985, and now the choice of how we consume media, where and how we watch sport, has just gone through the roof, hasn't it? As a pundit for BBC now, I sit there and your phone's going off. It's X, it's Twitter, it's Instagram, it's all of these things. It's just constantly going off. And I just think, had that have been around in Dennis's day, in Steve's day, in Stephen Hendry's day, what careers they would have been. Not that they aren't globally famous, but they would have been global superstars because they were the heroes of their day. Around the world, snooker is doing the best it's ever done in terms of, you know, people, footfall, ticket sales, eyes on, viewership. In any way you want to measure it, it is as healthy as it's ever been. It's now more than ever a great opportunity for players. Young players out there are picking up cues. You see all the junior circuits in the Republic of Ireland, in the UK, in all the home countries around Europe. This year we've got a couple of new players on from Europe we've never seen before through Q School. The Challenge Tour's growing, the Q Tour's growing. Of course, out in the Far East, we've known about the explosion for snooker in China for many, many years. It's now exploded in the Middle East. It's popular in Saudi Arabia and the other Emirates around there. It's starting to grow, and we've got events out there. We're going to go big with that. I'm just about to do a tour of the States, my own personal exhibition tour, going around North America, trying to take snooker there. That's right, just bubbling under the surface. And I think in 5 to 10 years, we'll have a ranking event out in North America somewhere. Because that's still the last place for us to break. Snooker's popular and big everywhere, and as I say, it is doing the best it's ever done. Accessibility has always been the problem for snooker, you know, because you've got to go to, because the table's so big, you've got to go to a snooker facility to play, and you know, unless you're lucky enough to have one at home, or you know somebody who's got a table. But it's not as easy as throwing a dartboard up on the wall, or going to the park for a kickabout, or there's always tennis courts or whatever it might be. You've got to actually have access to a snooker table, and they're much bigger than you think they are. That's always been the slight, you know, problem for accessing snooker. But when I started playing, your only option was to go to usually quite a dingy, dark snooker club that, to be honest, you know, they weren't really family places. You wouldn't have really wanted to go. Whereas now, in a lot of cities and towns around the country, popping up are these beautiful academies, state-of-the-art academies, where obviously, you know, it's all geared around achievement. There isn't that sort of dingy corner where everyone's playing cards anymore, where there's a gangster in the corner and all those old movies where snooker features. It's not like that. It's not like the clubs I grew up in, or the clubs Mark Selby grew up in, or any of those things. These places, I mean, there are state-of-the-art academies in Sheffield that are just, you know, they would blow the socks off almost any. They're as good as any, you know, golf academy or tennis academy or whatever it might be. And so it's growing. It's coming. Those days of those dark, dingy snooker clubs have gone. And now these academies that are popping up around the country and around the world. I'm about to visit 4 of them in the States. They're as nice and as luxurious as any academy in any sport you'd like to mention.